The distress call crackled across the void. "This is Earth Defense Command. We are under attack. We are dying here." But when the Galactic Council arrived, they found no desperation, only a planet glowing with readiness. Admiral Vexar's fleet was met not by victims, but by Commander Blake's chilling invitation. "We were hoping someone would show up to calibrate our targeting systems." What follows is a revelation that redefines humanity's place in the cosmos, and a warning to any who mistake vulnerability for weakness. The signal reached the Galactic Council's command center as faint background static, barely registering above the standard cosmic interference. A junior comms officer flagged the anomaly after it repeated 3 times at precisely 27-minute intervals, a pattern suggesting automated transmission rather than live communication. The message carried the distinct audio degradation of pre-warp radio technology, punctuated by the telltale ionization distortion of planetary atmosphere. On the command deck, Admiral Vexar glanced at the signal analysis without breaking from his strategic review of the Kessel border disputes. He'd heard 7 similar distress calls in the past standard cycle alone. Each followed the same pattern: primitive species encountering spacefaring raiders or environmental collapse, begging for intervention that invariably arrived too late. His tactical display already showed 17 active crises across 3 sectors, each demanding immediate fleet resources. The Council dispatched the standard reconnaissance package, 2 science vessels equipped with full planetary survey capabilities, escorted by 3 light defense corvettes. Their mission protocol fell under Category 4 First Contact, observation and assessment of technologically limited civilizations. The science ships carried atmospheric processors, medical supplies, and cultural translation matrices. The corvettes mounted minimal defensive arrays calibrated for asteroid deflection and radiation shielding, not combat engagement. Centuries of galactic expansion had established a reliable pattern. Species developing radio communications typically remained centuries away from practical spaceflight. Their planetary defenses generally consisted of primitive projectile weapons and atmospheric craft incapable of reaching orbit. The Council's approach protocols assumed technological superiority as a fundamental constant. Their security measures designed against environmental hazards rather than military threats. Admiral Vexar approved the deployment without convening the full Security Council, authorizing standard approach vectors through the system's outer comet cloud. The fleet's sensors remained configured for deep space astronomical observation and atmospheric composition analysis. Their passive scanners searched for signs of industrial collapse, atmospheric toxins, or population displacement, the standard markers of a civilization in its final stages. The navigation computer plotted a course directly toward Earth's largest population center, following protocols for efficient disaster assessment. No preliminary stealth approach or tactical dispersion patterns were initiated. The fleet maintained tight formation, their energy signatures clearly visible against the void. They expected to find smoking cities, orbital debris, and the electromagnetic chatter of panicked ground communications. Their operational briefing contained detailed procedures for cultural contamination, avoidance, and humanitarian aid distribution. The medical teams prepared quarantine protocols for potential biological contaminants. The anthropological staff drafted first contact scripts emphasizing the Council's benevolent intentions. Every system aboard every ship was optimized for study and assistance, not combat or evasion. This institutional confidence stemmed from 800 years of unchallenged technological dominance. No species had ever transitioned from radio communications to genuine threat within the Council's observational framework. Their databases contained 17 previous instances of similar scenarios, each ending with the Council documenting another civilization's expiration. The possibility of deliberate deception never entered their tactical calculations. The fleet dropped from warp at the system's edge, their navigation computers automatically adjusting course toward the 3rd planet. Sensor operators began their standard scan sequence, looking for the expected thermal signatures of widespread destruction. Their long-range telescopes focused on urban centers, searching for the structural damage patterns characteristic of orbital bombardment or atmospheric ignition events. Their approach vector placed them directly between Earth and its moon, a position that maximized observational coverage while minimizing orbital adjustment requirements. The defense corvettes maintained standard escort formation, their weapon systems operating at minimal readiness. No tactical alerts sounded. No threat indicators activated. The fleet proceeded exactly as they had 93 times before in similar situations across the galaxy. The Council fleet materialized from warp space expecting emergency lights and orbital debris. Instead, they found Earth's night side glowing with uninterrupted city grids. No smoke plumes rose from industrial centers. No thermal scars marked recent weapons impacts. Civilian transport patterns showed normal density across all flight levels. Admiral Vexar's tactical display showed standard orbital traffic, satellites maintaining precise formation, shuttlecraft following designated lanes, space stations operating at nominal capacity. Long-range optical scanners revealed intact infrastructure below, bridges still spanning rivers, skyscrapers standing undamaged, agricultural regions showing organized cultivation patterns. The planet exhibited none of the chaos his crews had documented on 17 previous disaster assessments. Sensor operators reported anomalous readings within seconds. Initial passive scans detected electromagnetic signatures consistent with pre-spaceflight civilization. Radio and television broadcasts, cellular networks, microwave transmissions. But secondary sweeps revealed deeper layers: quantum-entangled communications, tachyon-based data streams, and gravity wave modulation patterns that matched the Council's own classified technologies. Admiral Vexar ordered a full active sensor sweep against protocol. The science vessels deployed their entire sensor suite, flooding near space with every diagnostic frequency. The return data created immediate system conflicts. Energy readings seemed to shift between primitive and advanced states depending on scan frequency. Materials analysis showed both Iron Age alloys and metamaterials that shouldn't exist outside Council research facilities. The defense grid detection was the first unambiguous data point. 12 orbital platforms materialized on tactical displays, each maintaining fixed positions at high Lagrange points. Their energy signatures matched Council battleship reactor outputs. Weapon apertures showed charged but non-targeting status. The platforms made no aggressive moves, but their sudden appearance indicated sophisticated stealth capabilities. Earth's response to their scan activity proved most revealing. Instead of the expected panic or confusion, the planet's electromagnetic environment shifted into a coordinated pattern. Civilian communications continued uninterrupted, while military and government channels activated clean encryption protocols. The transition occurred without any public disruption or visible alert status changes. Admiral Vexar's science officer reported the impossibility of their findings. The energy signatures required power generation technology centuries beyond radio-era civilizations. The material science involved defied known manufacturing limitations. The coordination between civilian and military systems suggested societal integration levels the Council had never achieved. The defense corvettes began reporting system anomalies. Their tracking computers registered intermittent sensor ghosts, phantom contacts that appeared and vanished at the edge of detection range. Navigation systems showed minute positional errors that self-corrected before confirmation. Environmental controls reported atmospheric composition changes that didn't match external scans. The planetary surface remained deceptively calm. Commercial air traffic continued normal routes. Shipping lanes showed standard vessel densities. Urban centers maintained typical activity patterns. This surface normality contrasted sharply with the technological sophistication their sensors kept revealing in fleeting glimpses. The fleet's tactical computers began flagging inconsistencies in their own data streams. The science vessels reported their scans were being subtly altered during transmission, not blocked or jammed, but refined and corrected. The Council's systems were receiving cleaner data than they transmitted, as if someone was improving their observational capabilities. This technological disparity created a new calculation. Either Earth had experienced the fastest recovery in galactic history, erasing all damage from whatever attack prompted the distress call, or the distress call itself had been deliberate misdirection. The second possibility carried implications about human psychology that unsettled the veteran admiral more than any technological surprise. The comm channel activated without the standard handshake protocol. Commander Blake's voice cut through with a clarity that defied interstellar distance. His tone carried no urgency, no strain, only the even cadence of someone discussing routine logistics. He opened with a simple request for fleet identification and point of origin, ignoring the distress call his own planet had broadcast days earlier. Admiral Vexar responded with the prepared humanitarian script. He detailed their mission parameters, listed their medical and technical support capabilities, and offered standard assistance protocols. The Admiral's delivery followed centuries of established first contact procedure, emphasizing peaceful intentions and council benevolence. He expected gratitude, relief, or at least diplomatic formalities. Blake's reply contained none of these. His acknowledgement of their assistance offer lasted exactly 3 seconds before shifting to technical inquiries. He asked about their propulsion efficiency, shield harmonics, and weapons calibration methods. Each question demonstrated sophisticated understanding of systems the Council considered proprietary technology. His phrasing suggested familiarity with concepts most species took decades to comprehend. The human commander then extended an invitation to what he called live-fire training grounds. He specified coordinates over the Pacific Ocean where his forces were conducting system verification exercises. The location showed no civilian infrastructure, only deep water and empty airspace. His wording implied these exercises were ongoing and required external participants for proper calibration. This contradicted every documented first contact scenario in the Council database. Species receiving aid typically requested shelter, resources, or evacuation. They never invited military observers to weapons testing. They certainly didn't frame humanitarian visitors as potential target practice. The psychological profile suggested either profound cultural misunderstanding or deliberate provocation. Blake's vocal patterns showed no stress indicators. His breathing remained even, his word choices precise and unemotional. He paused exactly where necessary for comprehension, never from uncertainty. This vocal control indicated extensive combat experience or psychological conditioning beyond standard military training. His calm felt more unsettling than any threat display. The timing of his transmission suggested anticipation. He responded to their arrival within minutes, yet his message showed no signs of rushed preparation. The communication included clean data packets with formatted technical specifications for compatibility testing. This indicated pre-prepared response protocols for exactly this scenario. His invitation carried implicit assumptions about their capabilities. He referenced engagement ranges and response times that matched the corvette's maximum performance envelopes. He discussed maneuverability requirements that aligned perfectly with the science vessel's limitations. This knowledge shouldn't exist outside Council engineering teams. The subtext became unmistakable. Earth wasn't receiving visitors. They were auditing specimens. Their distress call hadn't been a plea for help, it had been bait. The entire interaction followed the pattern of a diagnostic routine, rather than a diplomatic exchange. Each question served to gather intelligence, each statement to measure reaction. This redefined the encounter's fundamental nature. The Council fleet represented neither rescuers nor explorers, but test subjects. Humanity's posture shifted from vulnerable to predatory in the space of a 7-minute transmission. Their readiness suggested they'd been waiting for someone to answer their call, and they already knew exactly what to do with the respondents. Commander Blake suggested a systems calibration check in the same tone someone might request a weather update. His transmission ended with a standard comm closure protocol. 2 seconds later, every tactical display on the Council ships lit with threat indicators. 47 separate targeting locks registered simultaneously across the fleet. Each Council vessel received multiple laser designators, radar paints, and gravitational anomaly markers. The science ships reported 16 targeting systems apiece, the corvettes 11 each. The pattern showed comprehensive coverage of all hull surfaces and propulsion units. Earth's defense grid coordinated these locks with seamless integration. Orbital platforms synchronized with ground-based installations and mobile naval assets. The targeting system showed no overlap or conflict in their acquisition patterns. Each weapon system covered specific sectors without duplicating coverage or leaving gaps. This level of coordination exceeded the Council's own fleet integration capabilities. The sensors detected weapon types the Council had never before encountered. Directed energy systems showed variable frequency modulation that could bypass standard shielding. Kinetic weapons utilized propulsion methods that defied standard physics. Gravitational projectors appeared to manipulate local space-time properties. Each system demonstrated technological sophistication the Council considered theoretical. Target acquisition occurred within 1.3 seconds of Blake's transmission ending. This response time indicated pre-programmed firing solutions rather than real-time calculation. The speed suggested extensive preparation for exactly this scenario. Their systems had already analyzed the Council vessel's capabilities during the initial scans. Weapon systems powered up without visible energy signatures or thermal blooms. Ground-based installations showed no exterior changes when activating city-leveling capability. Orbital platforms maintained their passive appearance while charging particle beams capable of melting battleship hulls. The absence of activation signatures indicated advanced stealth technology integration. Atmospheric craft appeared directly above the fleet without detection warnings. Hypersonic aircraft materialized in perfect diamond formation, their weapons already aligned with specific Council ship components. Rotorcraft emerged from cloud cover with missile pods extended. Every human aircraft showed weapons-locked status without any visible targeting procedure. The Council's tracking systems became overwhelmed by data inputs. Threat assessment computers flagged multiple impossible scenarios simultaneously. Their sensors reported weapons firing that never occurred, and vessels maneuvering that remained stationary. The systems began registering false positives and ghost contacts across all spectrums. This electronic warfare capability demonstrated deep understanding of alien sensor technology. Each targeting system showed familiarity with Council vessel vulnerabilities. Laser designators focused on shield emitter nodes and sensor clusters. Radar locks concentrated on thruster arrays and communication antennae. Gravitational markers highlighted structural stress points in reactor housings. The precision indicated extensive study of extraterrestrial spacecraft design principles. The demonstration lasted exactly 47 seconds before all targeting locks disengaged. Weapons powered down without residual energy signatures. Aircraft vanished from tracking systems as suddenly as they appeared. Orbital platforms returned to their previous stealth configurations. The entire event left no physical evidence beyond the Council's own sensor records. This display served as both capability demonstration and psychological operation. The humans showed they could destroy the fleet at will while choosing restraint. Their technological superiority became undeniable through controlled revelation rather than actual combat. The Council's tactical position shifted from dominant to vulnerable, without a single shot being fired. Commander Blake's transmission resumed with the same calm clarity. He explained the targeting demonstration as routine calibration, then delivered the line that would reshape galactic diplomacy. He stated that humanity had become the monster other monsters fear. This wasn't boastful or aggressive, simply factual. His tone suggested he was reading from an operations manual. This statement inverted the fundamental predator-prey relationship the Council understood. Humanity positioned itself not as potential victims awaiting rescue, but as the apex threat in the cosmic hierarchy. Their psychological framework treated alien contact as natural selection testing their defensive adaptations. They viewed first contact through the lens of territorial defense rather than interstellar greeting. The Council began analyzing the implications of this posture. Humanity's readiness indicated centuries of preparation for this exact scenario. Their defense systems showed integration levels that required long-term strategic planning. The coordination between orbital platforms, naval assets, and ground installations suggested decades of joint exercises. This wasn't emergency response, it was polished procedure. Earth's defense strategy relied on overwhelming disproportionate response. Their weapons targeted not just immediate threats, but potential future capabilities. Their targeting solutions included secondary and tertiary strike options for each Council vessel. The systems demonstrated contingency planning for multiple escalation scenarios. This approach prioritized absolute deterrence over measured defense. They had weaponized their entire environment against external threats. Orbital defenses coordinated with atmospheric conditions. Naval vessels utilized oceanographic data for tactical positioning. Ground installations leveraged geological features for protection and concealment. Even civilian infrastructure showed defensive modifications and fallback positions. The planet itself functioned as an integrated weapons platform. The Council realized humanity treated first contact as live-fire exercise. Their distress call served as realistic scenario training. Their response followed established protocols for contact with unknown extraterrestrial vessels. Every action mirrored military exercises rather than diplomatic engagement. This procedural approach indicated regular practice with hypothetical alien encounters. The psychological warfare element proved more effective than physical demonstration. The precision targeting created uncertainty without causing damage. The calm communications suggested untapped escalation options. The technological reveal hinted at deeper capabilities held in reserve. This created cognitive dissonance between visible threat and implied potential. Humanity's greatest weapon was their willingness to appear vulnerable. The distress call demonstrated strategic deception capability. Their surface civilization showed no outward signs of military preparation. This false vulnerability invited the exact response they needed for system testing. Their defensive strategy incorporated perception management as core doctrine. This revelation forced immediate recalculation of galactic power structures. Advanced civilizations typically revealed their capabilities through technological achievement or territorial expansion. Humanity had concealed theirs behind deliberate vulnerability until activation became necessary. Their approach suggested new paradigms for species development and interaction. The Council's tactical computers began running new simulations based on human behavior patterns. Their historical databases required complete reevaluation of species assessment criteria. The standard metrics for technological advancement no longer applied. A species capable of this level of strategic deception and patient preparation defied all existing classification systems. Admiral Vexar ordered full withdrawal while maintaining communication protocols. His fleet executed careful disengagement maneuvers under continued sensor observation. The human defense grid tracked their departure without further communication. The entire encounter lasted less than 1 standard hour, but would require years of analysis. This experience would redefine how the Galactic Council approached unknown civilizations. The assumption of technological superiority could no longer guide first contact procedures. The possibility of deliberate deception became a primary consideration in all future assessments. Humanity had demonstrated that appearance rarely matched capability in cosmic interactions. The Starlight Wanderer dropped from warp at the edge of the Kepler system, its sensors immediately detecting weapons fire near the mining station. 3 pirate vessels had pinned the station's defenses with continuous energy weapon strikes. Captain Torres observed the tactical display for 12 seconds before issuing new orders. Instead of engaging directly, the Wanderer altered course toward the system's asteroid belt. The ship navigated through dense rock formations, using larger asteroids as visual and sensor cover. The pirates' targeting system struggled to track them through the mineral interference. The Wanderer's navigation computer calculated paths that maximized cover while maintaining approach velocity. The ship demonstrated capabilities beyond its exploration design specifications. Its thrusters executed precision maneuvers typically reserved for combat craft. Sensor arrays focused on pirate vessel weak points rather than general scans. Power distribution shifted from life support to tactical systems without affecting crew operations. The vessel adapted to combat requirements through system repurposing rather than redesign. Torres ordered targeted strikes against pirate propulsion and weapon systems. Energy beams focused on engine nozzles and weapon emplacements with surgical precision. The attacks disabled offensive capability without destroying vessels or endangering crews. Each strike utilized minimal energy expenditure, conserving resources for potential further engagement. The pirates attempted evasive maneuvers but found their options limited by the asteroid. Field boarding teams deployed through maintenance, access points and ventilation shafts rather than standard docking procedures. They utilized magnetic boots and tactical grappling equipment to maintain position during transfer. The teams entered pirate vessels through secondary hull openings not covered by internal security. Their entry points avoided main corridors and defensive choke points. Pirate crew communications described humans moving through their ships like ghosts. Boarding teams utilized thermal and acoustic camouflage to avoid detection. They disabled internal security systems through localized electromagnetic pulses. Their movement patterns showed detailed knowledge of alien vessel layouts despite never encountering these specific designs. Pirate countermeasures proved ineffective against their infiltration tactics. Close-quarters combat demonstrated human adaptability under extreme pressure. Boarding teams utilized improvised weapons and environmental tools when standard equipment proved unsuitable. They adapted fighting techniques to accommodate variable gravity conditions and alien architecture. Their coordination involved minimal communication, relying instead on pre-established protocols and situational awareness. The teams neutralized resistance without lethal force when possible. Mining station personnel witnessed the entire engagement through viewports and sensor feeds. Their initial panic shifted to disbelief as the Wanderer systematically disabled the pirate threat. Station security teams reported the pirates surrendering within 20 minutes of human boarding actions. The miners had expected destruction or capture, not professional military intervention from an exploration vessel. Station leadership offered resource compensation and permanent docking rights. Captain Torres declined all material rewards, stating their role remained exploration and documentation. The crew provided basic medical assistance to injured miners but refused any form of payment. Their actions aligned with established protocols for assisting civilians in distress during deep space missions. The engagement concluded, with pirate vessels under tow and station operations returning to normal. The Wanderer continued its survey mission after ensuring local security forces could handle prisoner transfer. Their departure left the miners with revised understanding of human capabilities and intentions. This encounter would become another data point in the growing catalog of human behavior patterns. The Wanderer's data specialists completed decryption of the pirate command network within hours. They found records spanning 11 standard years, detailing systematic raids across 17 systems. The logs showed target selection methods, resource extraction quotas, and casualty reports the pirates treated as operational metrics. The database contained precise timetables and operational parameters for future engagements. 7 mining colonies appeared on the upcoming raid schedule. Estimated population totals reached 8,000 sentient beings across all targets. Each location showed specific vulnerabilities the pirates planned to exploit: understaffed security, outdated defensive systems, or isolated positioning that prevented rapid response. The timelines indicated strikes would commence within days of each other. Captain Torres convened the senior staff to review the intelligence. The original mission parameters focused on exploration and first contact protocols. Their mandate included civilian assistance but not preemptive military action. The crew debated the ethical implications of intervention beyond immediate emergencies. The discussion lasted 27 minutes before reaching consensus. They decided to engage the pirate network proactively. Navigation plotted courses to intercept each scheduled raid before it could commence. The ship's mission profile expanded from observation to interception. This required recalibration of sensors for tactical assessment rather than scientific study. The crew prepared for sustained operations beyond their planned survey route. Lieutenant Rodriguez analyzed the pirate vessel configurations from their encounter data. She identified consistent design flaws across all 3 captured ships. Their shield generators showed harmonic instability during power transfer. Engine manifolds exhibited thermal stress points after rapid maneuvering. Weapon systems shared targeting software vulnerabilities that allowed for electronic intrusion. These weaknesses became central to engagement planning. The new strategy involved arriving at target systems before pirate elements. They would position the Wanderer near vulnerable colonies and wait for raiders to appear. This approach prioritized prevention over reaction. It required precise timing and continuous monitoring of pirate communications. The crew accepted extended deployment away from their original exploration objectives. This shift represented Earth's transition from self-protection to external guardianship. Humanity's defensive posture expanded beyond their own territory to include vulnerable civilizations. Their actions demonstrated willingness to assume responsibility for others' safety without demanding compensation or allegiance. This approach differed fundamentally from galactic norms of non-interference or conditional aid. The moral imperative drove decisions beyond operational parameters. Crew members cited the preventable loss of life as justification for mission expansion. They argued that capability created responsibility when confronting clear threats to innocent beings. This ethical framework would later become standard in human deep space operations protocols. Humanity began establishing rapid response capability across multiple sectors. The Wanderer's actions created a template for future intervention scenarios. Other human vessels received updated standing orders based on their experience. This network of protection would grow into a formalized system within decades. The approach combined military capability with restrained application of force. The ship's new course took them toward the first targeted mining colony. Their sensors remained active across all threat detection bands. Crew rotations adjusted to maintain constant vigilance during approach. The Wanderer became both explorer and guardian, its mission permanently altered by the discovery of systemic predation. This expansion of protective responsibility would define human interaction with the galaxy for centuries to come. Ambassador. Kane stood before the rotating sigils of the Galactic Council with the stillness of a predator assessing terrain. Dr. Reeves remained at her side, his data tablet showing passive readouts. They had been offered planetary ward status under Council protection, a standard offer for emerging spacefaring species. The terms required complete disarmament and acceptance of Council oversight. Kane rejected the proposal without consulting Earth Command. His response carried the quiet certainty of someone stating obvious facts. He explained that humanity would maintain full military autonomy and sovereign authority. The Council ambassadors reacted with visible confusion. No species had ever refused protective status once offered. The Council's concern centered on humanity's unpredictable nature. Their intelligence reports showed contradictory capabilities, appearing primitive while demonstrating advanced technology, pleading for help while possessing overwhelming force. This inconsistency made strategic assessment impossible. They feared what might happen if humanity's development continued without oversight or limitation. Earth's counter-proposal arrived as a structured demand rather than a request. Kane presented requirements for full Council membership with voting rights and territorial sovereignty. He outlined specific contributions humanity would provide, including security services and technological exchange. The proposal contained no requests for aid or developmental assistance. The negotiation shifted into capability demonstration. Kane detailed humanity's defensive actions against the pirate networks. He provided sensor logs from the Wanderer's engagements and analysis of prevented attacks. The data showed thousands of lives saved across multiple systems. This evidence positioned humanity as security providers, rather than security consumers. Humanity offered protection from external threats in exchange for autonomous status. They proposed rapid response teams for Council members facing aggression. Their terms included mutual defense protocols and intelligence sharing. The offer contained no territorial claims or resource demands. It focused exclusively on security cooperation between equals. The discussion became strategic theater. Kane referenced the Council's ongoing border disputes and internal security challenges. He noted specific vulnerabilities in their defense networks without revealing how humanity obtained the information. His comments suggested deep understanding of Council military capabilities and limitations. Humanity's leverage came from demonstrated strength rather than diplomatic concession. They had already proven their capabilities against pirates and during first contact. Their offer contained no bluffs or exaggerations, only verifiable actions and measurable results. This approach bypassed traditional negotiation tactics based on compromise and gradual concession. This inverted the standard power dynamics of Council diplomacy. Typically, new members sought inclusion through gradual acceptance of Council terms. Humanity demanded immediate equality based on proven capability. They treated membership as mutual benefit rather than privilege. Their confidence stemmed from practical achievement rather than theoretical rights. The Council faced a binary choice between acceptance and confrontation. Granting membership acknowledged humanity as technological and military equals. Rejection risked creating an independent power with demonstrated capability to operate outside Council authority. Neither option aligned with their established protocols for species integration. The ambassador deliberations lasted 3 standard days. Their databases contained no precedent for this situation. Traditional diplomatic models proved inadequate for dealing with a species that developed in isolation, yet matched Council capabilities. The decision would redefine galactic political structures for centuries to come. Humanity waited without pressure or follow-up communication. Their delegation maintained the same calm posture throughout the proceedings. This patience itself became another demonstration of strategic discipline. They understood the Council's need for deliberation, and showed respect for the process while maintaining their position. The final vote would establish whether the galaxy could accommodate a species that defied all categorization. Humanity had presented themselves as both threat and protector, depending on council response. Their approach forced a fundamental reconsideration of how advanced civilizations recognize and integrate new members into the cosmic community. Humanity redefined cosmic relationships through practical application of neighborhood principles. They approached interstellar space as an intricate community, rather than territory for conquest. This conceptual shift replaced expansionist ambitions with collaborative security frameworks. Their model treated civilizations as neighbors requiring mutual protection, rather than subjects demanding control. Trust became the foundation for all interstellar agreements. Formal treaties gave way to demonstrated reliability and consistent action. Humanity honored every commitment without requiring reciprocal guarantees. This approach eliminated the need for complex enforcement mechanisms and oversight committees. Trust metrics replaced legal documentation as the primary measure of interstellar relations. Security transformed into shared responsibility across species boundaries. Threat detection networks integrated multiple civilizations' monitoring capabilities. Response protocols coordinated diverse military assets without hierarchical command structures. The hunt for dangers became collective duty, rather than delegated task. This distributed approach provided comprehensive coverage without centralized control. Humanity positioned itself as both guardian and community member. They maintained military capability while refusing dominant political roles. Their protection came with explicit respect for local autonomy and cultural integrity. This dual identity allowed them to provide security without imposing values or systems. They became the neighborhood watch for the entire spiral arm. This approach proved more sustainable than traditional imperial models. It required minimal resource expenditure beyond initial establishment costs. The system maintained itself through mutual interest rather than continuous enforcement. Participating civilizations contributed voluntarily because they directly benefited from the arrangement. The model scaled efficiently as new members joined the network. The neighborhood principle preserved cultural diversity within unified security. Civilizations maintained unique traditions and governance systems while receiving protection. Humanity intervened only against external threats, not internal developments. This respect for difference prevented the cultural homogenization that accompanied previous galactic empires. The approach valued variety as strength rather than complication. Humanity's continued willingness to protect defined their cosmic role. They consistently responded to threats regardless of political considerations or resource calculations. Their actions demonstrated that protection represented core identity rather than strategic choice. This reliability became their most valuable diplomatic currency across thousands of systems. They focused on solving problems rather than accumulating power. Human advisors addressed practical issues like pirate suppression and emergency response. They avoided political manipulation or influence campaigns. Their assistance came without demands for loyalty or alignment. This problem-solving orientation built credibility through tangible results rather than promises. The model attracted participation through demonstrated benefits. Civilizations joined the network after observing improved security for their neighbors. Membership grew through voluntary adoption rather than coercion or conquest. The system expanded organically as more civilizations experienced its advantages. This gravitational pull proved more effective than any enforcement mechanism. The galaxy learned cooperation through consistent human example. Civilizations began mirroring human reliability in their own interactions. Trust-based relationships spread beyond security into trade and cultural exchange. The neighborhood principle created patterns of behavior that transformed interstellar relations. This demonstrated that cosmic community could emerge from practical cooperation rather than imposed structure. The approach redefined what's possible across the stars. Human observation posts dot the void between stars like fixed points in the darkness. These stations maintain silent watch across hundreds of systems, their sensors sweeping through empty space with methodical precision. Crew rotations occur every 6 months without disrupting coverage. The watch continues through star cycles and cosmic events, uninterrupted by political changes or external developments. This constant presence deters potential threats before they materialize. Would-be predators reconsider aggression, when human monitoring stations track their movements from light years away. The knowledge that every action receives observation changes strategic calculations across the galaxy. Offensive plans account for human response times and capabilities as primary factors. The galaxy's monsters haven't vanished. They've simply learned fear. Ancient threats and emerging predators remain present in dark corners and uncharted regions, but they now hesitate before striking civilized systems. Their caution stems from demonstrated human willingness to pursue threats across space and time. This hesitation creates windows for prevention rather than response. Humanity's presence generates stability through proven capability. Systems under watch show lower conflict initiation and faster crisis resolution. The certainty of human response creates environments where diplomacy outweighs aggression. This stability extends beyond protected regions to neighboring systems through demonstration effects. Their watch represents perpetual commitment rather than temporary measure. Human vessels maintain patrol routes established decades earlier, without reduction in vigilance. Monitoring protocols receive regular updates but never decrease in intensity. This endurance demonstrates that protection isn't campaign or project, but permanent state of being. Ongoing vigilance prevents backsliding into chaotic patterns. Systems that experienced human protection maintain stability even during rotational gaps. The memory of reliable response creates cultural norms that outlast direct involvement. This persistent influence transforms interstellar relations across generations. The cost of watchfulness balances against prevented conflicts. Human resources dedicated to monitoring represent significant investment across multiple systems, but economic analysis shows 94% cost efficiency compared to conflict resolution expenses. The investment pays through preserved infrastructure and uninterrupted development. Humanity's endurance becomes their defining legacy across the cosmos. Other civilizations measure commitment in years or decades. Humans measure in centuries. Their watch continues through species evolution and technological transformation. This longevity creates trust that transcends temporary political arrangements. Their monitoring ensures the neighborhood remains safe for diverse development. Civilizations under protection explore unique cultural paths without external pressure. Scientific advancement occurs without military diversion. Artistic expression flourishes in absence of existential threats. This safety enables growth in directions previously impossible. This eternal commitment defines humanity's cosmic role beyond all other attributes. They remain the constant factor in evolving galactic relationships. Their watch provides the stability that allows civilization to progress. The commitment continues without fanfare or recognition, as fundamental as gravity binding stars together. The watch stations require no glorious battles or dramatic interventions to prove their value. Their effectiveness lies in the conflicts that never happen, the threats that never emerge, the wars that never begin. This preventive capability represents the highest form of protection, making protection itself unnecessary through demonstrated readiness. Human crews maintain their posts through generations of service. Fathers teach sons station protocols. Mothers show daughters sensor interpretation techniques. The watch becomes family tradition and cultural heritage simultaneously. This intergenerational transfer ensures consistency across centuries of operation. The galaxy sleeps soundly knowing someone keeps watch against the darkness. This fundamental security enables progress previously impossible under constant threat. Civilizations explore new technologies, art forms, and social structures because basic safety is assured. Humanity's gift isn't just protection, but the freedom to grow beyond survival needs. Their vigil continues as the galaxy transforms around them. New species reach spacefaring status. Old empires decline, political systems rise and fall. Through all changes, the watch remains constant. Humanity has become the fixed point in cosmic evolution, the guarantee that progress won't be lost to random predation. This role requires no expansion or conquest, only persistence. The monitors need not grow in number or capability to maintain effectiveness. Their power lies in consistency rather than escalation. The Eternal Watch represents the ultimate expression of human nature, the willingness to stand guard so others may sleep in peace. Ambassador Kane concluded his remarks about mutual defense protocols. As the Council delegates processed his words, every console on their command ships flickered simultaneously. Main power systems switched to auxiliary backups without transition. Engine harmonics dropped to station-keeping levels. Weapon systems discharged capacitors into containment fields. The entire Council fleet entered emergency shutdown protocols. The transition occurred without audible alarms or visible distress. Ships maintained orbital position through secondary systems. Life support continued uninterrupted. Communications shifted to basic radio protocols. The controlled shutdown affected only combat and propulsion systems, preserving crew safety while eliminating offensive capability. This precision demonstrated exact understanding of Council vessel architecture. At that moment, 12 new contacts appeared on tactical displays. Human warships materialized in perfect defensive formation around the Council fleet. Their angular hulls showed recent construction, weapon ports still bearing factory-fresh markings. The vessels positioned themselves to cover every engagement angle without obstructing each other's fields of fire. Their arrival signatures indicated advanced stealth technology capable of hiding from Council sensors. This demonstration caused no physical damage or system corruption. The software modification utilized existing emergency protocols rather than forcing system failures. It triggered standard safety measures that Council engineers had designed for combat damage containment. The humans had simply activated these protocols through backdoor access points. All systems returned to normal operation 90 seconds later, without requiring repairs. The precision of the software intrusion revealed deep technological penetration. The humans had accessed core system code without leaving forensic evidence. Their modification affected only military systems, leaving science and medical functions untouched. The attack vector demonstrated understanding of Council programming languages and security architectures. It suggested years of undetected access to classified systems. Dr. Reeves explained they had monitored Council communications since first detecting deep space transmissions 73 years earlier. Their translation algorithms had broken encryption protocols within months. The software demonstration served as confirmation of capabilities they had long possessed but never exercised. This revelation redefined the technological balance between humanity and the Council. The new warships represented a protected balance of power. Their designs incorporated Council technology alongside human innovations. Weapon placements covered known tactical weaknesses in Council vessel configurations. Shield generators showed adaptations to counter standard Council energy weapons. The fleet composition suggested defensive rather than aggressive positioning. The display verified humanity's claims without requiring destructive testing. They had demonstrated ability to neutralize the Council's military advantage while showing their own combat capability. The restrained application of force proved more persuasive than actual engagement. It showed strategic discipline alongside technological superiority. This calculated reveal forced immediate reassessment of the diplomatic situation. The Council could no longer doubt humanity's technological claims or military readiness. Their previous negotiation position became untenable against demonstrated capability. The software attack proved humans could have disabled the fleet at any point during discussions. The Council delegates required 30 minutes to restore full system functionality. Their engineers found no permanent damage or residual code alterations. The incident left no evidence beyond system logs showing authorized emergency protocol activation. This clean execution demonstrated technical sophistication beyond any previous cyber warfare encounter. Humanity had proven they could dominate through means other than destruction. Their approach combined capability demonstration with deliberate restraint. This combination created persuasive leverage without generating hostility. The Council now faced negotiators who could enforce their terms through undeniable technological superiority. The warships maintained formation for exactly 17 minutes before activating their stealth systems. Their disappearance occurred as smoothly as their arrival. No energy signatures marked their departure. No sensor ghosts remained on tactical displays. The entire demonstration left the Council with verified evidence of human capability and the memory of temporary helplessness. The motion sensors registered the first anomaly near the Kuiper Belt's outer debris field. What appeared as background radiation fluctuations resolved into coordinated movement patterns. The Devourer swarm emerged not as ships but as a cloud of dark matter intersecting with normal space. Their approach showed no light emissions or energy signatures, only the gradual dimming of stars behind them. They moved through Council space with methodical consumption. Each encounter followed the same pattern. Energy sources drained to critical levels, technology stripped to base components, biological systems left untouched but stranded. Their hunger focused exclusively on constructed systems and power generation. They ignored living beings while dismantling their civilization around them. Council defense fleets engaged the swarm at 7 locations simultaneously. Standard energy weapons proved ineffective after initial contact. Particle beams were absorbed and converted to swarm mass. Kinetic weapons shattered individual units that regenerated within minutes. Electromagnetic pulses caused temporary disorientation, but no permanent damage. Each attack provided data for swarm adaptation. Losses mounted with each engagement. 73 Council ships were disabled or destroyed in the first standard week. The swarm's learning capability became apparent through combat evolution. Weapons that worked during initial encounters failed upon repetition. The entities developed countermeasures faster than tactical systems could adjust targeting parameters. Visual observation revealed disturbing characteristics. The swarm units showed no consistent form or structure. They flowed like liquid metal around defensive positions. Their surface patterns shifted to match whatever they encountered. Attempts to communicate resulted in energy drain from transmission systems. They operated with single-minded purpose devoid of recognizable consciousness. Dr. Keithman's analysis confirmed the worst assumptions. The swarm adapted to any attack within 3 exposures. Energy weapons became power sources for their expansion. Kinetic impacts taught them structural reinforcement. Electronic warfare improved their system infiltration capabilities. Each defense effort ultimately strengthened the threat. This represented an existential scenario beyond Council experience. Historical records showed similar patterns from 9,000 years earlier. Ancient texts described entire systems going dark without explanation. The Council had classified these as mythological events until physical evidence confirmed their reality. The swarm moved with predetermined efficiency, suggesting deep memory of previous encounters. The hive mind coordination operated beyond normal sensor detection. Units on opposite sides of the galaxy executed identical maneuvers simultaneously. Their consumption patterns showed mathematical precision in resource allocation. There were no visible communication links or command structures. The entire swarm functioned as distributed consciousness with single purpose. Consumption rates indicated unstoppable expansion. The swarm doubled its mass every 48 hours through captured energy and material. Projections showed complete galactic coverage within 6 standard months. Their path of advance created a bubble of technological emptiness behind them. Civilizations survived, but reverted to pre-industrial states without energy sources. The galaxy faced extinction of its technological civilization. Entire species risked being stranded on their homeworlds without spaceflight capability. Medical systems would fail, communication networks vanish, and energy-based society collapse. The swarm represented not annihilation, but reversion to primitive existence across thousands of worlds. Council strategists developed 73 contingency plans. Each scenario ended with swarm adaptation and eventual defeat. Evacuation efforts proved useless without functional star drive technology. The entities contaminated jump points and consumed ships mid-transit. No defensive position held for more than standard days before being overwhelmed. This threat changed the fundamental nature of the conflict. Victory required not military superiority but complete conceptual innovation. The Council's technological advantage became their greatest vulnerability. The swarm fed on advancement itself, making progress into weakness. Survival demanded approaches outside established tactical paradigms. Human Strategic Command analyzed the Devourer threat for 72 hours. They discarded all conventional warfare doctrines within the first 6. Traditional engagement protocols assumed opponents with fixed capabilities and predictable responses. The swarm's adaptive nature made these approaches not just ineffective, but counterproductive. Each attack strengthened the enemy through forced evolution. Humanity adopted a single guiding principle: win by any means necessary. They abandoned notions of honorable combat or proportional response. Every tactic underwent evaluation based on effectiveness alone. Rules of engagement became obstacles to overcome rather than guidelines to follow. This philosophical shift allowed consideration of previously unthinkable strategies. Their approach embraced ruthless pragmatism without emotional constraints. Commanders authorized weapons that caused collateral damage to achieve strategic objectives. They sacrificed territory to create tactical advantages. Resources were expended without regard to replacement costs. The calculation focused exclusively on victory conditions without romanticizing the process. They deployed gravitational manipulation systems banned by Council warfare conventions. These devices altered local space-time geometry to create extreme tidal forces. The weapons didn't attack the swarm directly, but changed the environment around them. This indirect approach bypassed the swarm's adaptive defenses by targeting the fundamental laws of physics they operated within. The gravity weapons exploited the swarm's own momentum against itself. As the entities moved through manipulated space, their velocity became their primary vulnerability. Rapid movement in distorted gravitational fields caused catastrophic structural stress. The faster the swarm advanced, the more damage they sustained from their own motion. This turned their greatest advantage into a liability. Human strategy focused on systemic weakness rather than direct confrontation. Analysis revealed the swarm's coordination required precise spatial relationships between units. By warping local geometry, they disrupted these connections without physical contact. The approach targeted organizational principles rather than individual components. They sacrificed 17 star systems to create optimal engagement zones. These territories contained minimal population, but offered strategic gravitational features. Human forces withdrew from these areas to lure the swarm into prepared positions. The retreat appeared as weakness but served as deliberate positioning for maximum effect. The methods appeared brutal to outside observers. Entire planetary systems were subjected to gravitational stresses that rendered them uninhabitable. The collateral damage included destruction of natural resources and historical sites. Human commanders accepted these losses as necessary costs of victory. Their calculations prioritized galactic survival over local preservation. This represented a fundamental shift in cosmic warfare doctrine. Previous conflicts had followed established conventions regarding acceptable weapons and tactics. Humanity introduced the concept of absolute war without limitations. Their approach considered every physical law and environmental factor as potential weaponry. The willingness to break norms became humanity's greatest strategic asset. While other civilizations constrained themselves with ethical considerations and traditional rules, humans operated without these limitations. They treated warfare as a problem-solving exercise rather than a contest of honor. This freedom allowed solutions others couldn't conceive due to self-imposed restrictions. Their tactical computers ran simulations without ethical constraint parameters. Weapons development programs explored possibilities Council science had abandoned as too dangerous. Military strategists considered scenarios that violated multiple interstellar treaties. This unbounded thinking produced the gravitational weapons that finally counteracted the swarm's advance. The approach demonstrated that against existential threats, conventional morality becomes tactical liability. Humanity's survival instinct overrode all other considerations. They fought with the desperate creativity of a species that understood extinction as the only alternative to victory. This mindset would redefine galactic military strategy for centuries to come. The Meridian System's asteroid belt appeared undisturbed, its rocky fragments drifting in their ancient orbits. Hidden among them, 148 human battle stations maintained perfect stillness. Their hull coatings mirrored the background radiation, their energy signatures suppressed below cosmic background levels. They had waited in formation for 19 standard days, silent and undetected. Human command initiated the engagement with a single encrypted pulse. The battle stations activated their gravity manipulation systems in coordinated sequence. Their weapons didn't fire projectiles or energy beams. Instead, they altered the fundamental geometry of local spacetime, creating overlapping gravitational anomalies across the entire system. The Devourer swarm entered the trap at 70% light speed. Their adaptive systems immediately detected the gravitational distortions, but interpreted them as natural phenomena. The swarm's standard response to spatial anomalies was to maintain formation and increase velocity. This characteristic became their critical vulnerability in the manipulated environment. The gravitational fields intensified as more swarm units entered the system. The battle stations adjusted their output to create cascading resonance effects. Space itself became a weapon, warping and twisting around the advancing entities. The swarm's momentum, Normally their greatest asset now worked against them with devastating effect. Adaptive capabilities proved useless against physics itself. The swarm attempted to adjust their structural integrity to withstand the stresses. They reinforced their formations and redistributed mass. But gravitational forces operate on fundamental principles that cannot be counteracted through material adaptation. The harder they fought against the distortions, the more energy they expended to their own detriment. The annihilation occurred through structural collapse, rather than explosive destruction. Swarm units traveling at high velocity encountered gravitational gradients that exceeded their structural limits. They didn't shatter or explode, but simply came apart along stress points, their components scattering across distorted space. The process resembled materials failing under extreme pressure tests. The entire engagement lasted 17 minutes and 43 seconds. Subsequent analysis showed 98% swarm destruction within the first 8 minutes. The remaining units attempted evasion, but found no escape from the gravitational maze. The battle stations maintained their positions, continuously adjusting the trap to prevent any breakthrough. This demonstrated humanity's capacity for large-scale strategic planning beyond tactical engagement. The Meridian operation required precise astronomical positioning and gravitational calculations spanning multiple star systems. The battle stations had been constructed and deployed specifically for this scenario, indicating foresight and preparation on a galactic scale. The trap utilized the Devourer's own characteristics as primary weapons. Their constant adaptation, relentless advance, and hive mind coordination all became factors in their defeat. Humanity didn't fight the swarm's nature but leveraged it against them. This approach showed deep understanding of enemy psychology alongside physical capabilities. Humanity's preparation proved more decisive than raw military power. The battle stations represented months of construction and deployment effort. Their weapons required exotic physics research and engineering innovation. The victory came through scientific advancement and strategic patience rather than overwhelming force. That the engagement became the turning point in the war, because it proved the swarm could be defeated through methodology rather than superiority. Previous attempts had failed because they tried to overpower the adaptation capability. Humanity succeeded by creating conditions where adaptation became irrelevant. This conceptual shift allowed subsequent operations to build on the same principles. The Meridian system itself suffered permanent gravitational alterations from the weapon deployment. Several asteroid orbits were permanently changed, and local spacetime curvature showed measurable effects. These collateral damages were deemed acceptable given the strategic victory achieved. The system was later designated a restricted zone due to residual gravitational anomalies. The Devourer swarm began its retreat from the Meridian system, its remaining units executing a coordinated withdrawal that showed no panic or disorder. Their movement patterns remained precise despite catastrophic losses. The entities maintained formation even while disengaging. Their retreat as methodical as their advance had been. As the final units cleared the system's gravitational anomalies, a single transmission pulsed across all frequencies simultaneously. The signal contained no encryption or modulation, just raw data compressed into one conceptual package. Communication specialists required 3 processing cycles to decode the message into recognizable language. The transmission contained one word: monsters. The term carried no emotional context or vocal inflection. It arrived as pure information, a label applied with clinical precision. The word repeated across 17 linguistic formats to ensure comprehension. Each translation carried identical semantic weight and conceptual meaning. This acknowledgement represented the first verified communication from the hive mind in recorded history. Previous attempts at contact had yielded only energy drain or system corruption. The swarm had never before demonstrated capacity for language or concepts beyond consumption patterns. Its ability to communicate had been theoretical until this moment. The label reflected humanity's demonstrated effectiveness rather than moral judgment. The term monsters described functional capability, not ethical failure. It acknowledged humanity's willingness to employ absolute force without restraint or convention. The hive mind recognized the practical superiority of their approach over traditional warfare methods. This signified a fundamental shift in cosmic perception. Where other species saw civilization and culture, the hive mind recognized only threat assessment parameters. Its concession validated humanity's strategic approach through the only metric that mattered to the swarm: survival effectiveness. The term became a badge of honor through its source rather than its meaning. The hive mind's fear carried implicit warning to other potential threats. Its communication represented data sharing across the cosmic community. The acknowledgement served as both concession and caution to any entity that might consider challenging humanity. The swarm's reputation as unstoppable force made its recognition particularly significant. Humanity's supremacy was earned through brutal practicality rather than technological dominance. They had won through conceptual innovation rather than superior firepower. Their victory came from understanding the swarm's nature and exploiting its inherent characteristics. This practical approach impressed the hive mind more than any display of force. This moment established humans as the galaxy's ultimate predators in functional terms. The classification came from the one being capable of judging such matters objectively. The hive mind's assessment carried weight because it evaluated solely on survival capability, without cultural or moral bias. Its perspective was purely evolutionary. The concession carried extra significance because the hive mind cannot comprehend defeat in emotional terms. Its communication represented strategic reassessment rather than surrender. The acknowledgement indicated recategorization based on new data rather than admission of failure. This made the concession more credible than any emotional response. It represented a fundamental rewriting of galactic power structures. The swarm's recognition created a new tier in the cosmic hierarchy above traditional military or technological rankings. Humanity now occupied a unique position as the species that even apex threats acknowledged as superior. This changed how all civilizations would approach human interactions. The transmission ended as suddenly as it began. The swarm completed its withdrawal without further communication. The single word hung in the tactical networks, its implications spreading through command structures across the galaxy. Analysis teams would spend years studying the brief message and its consequences. Human commanders accepted the label without comment or celebration. Their focus remained on monitoring the swarm's continued retreat and preparing for potential future encounters. The concession changed nothing about their operational posture or strategic planning. They treated it as tactical data rather than moral victory. This response itself became another demonstration of why the label applied. Humanity's practicality extended even to receiving the ultimate compliment from their greatest enemy. They understood that being called monsters by monsters simply meant they had survived, and survival, they had learned, was the only metric that truly mattered. Earth established observation outposts across 417 star systems within 5 standard years. Each station maintained minimal staff, typically 12 human advisors with technical and tactical training. These installations positioned themselves near trade routes, mining operations, and vulnerable colonies. Their architecture favored visibility over fortification, with observation decks and open docking facilities. Human observers provided continuous monitoring and rapid response coordination. They maintained direct communication links with local security forces and civilian authorities. Their expertise covered conflict mediation, emergency response planning, and threat assessment. The advisors shared tactical data and intelligence without requiring clearance protocols or hierarchical approval. This open information flow created integrated security networks across multiple systems. Crime rates dropped significantly in systems with human presence. Pirate activity decreased by 73% along monitored trade lanes. Smuggling operations relocated to unmonitored regions. Criminal organizations avoided systems with human advisors due to their consistent response patterns and evidence collection capabilities. The reduction came through deterrence rather than enforcement actions. Stabilization occurred through predictable human behavior patterns. Local governments learned that human advisors would consistently enforce agreements and protect civilian populations. This reliability created environments where business investments increased and conflict resolution accelerated. Systems with human presence showed higher economic growth and lower political instability compared to uncontrolled regions. President Mason addressed the Galactic Assembly about the trust-based model. He explained that humanity's protection came without territorial claims or resource demands. Their approach focused on creating stability through consistent presence rather than control through force. This model treated security as a mutual benefit rather than a service to be purchased or enforced. Independent worlds began requesting human mediators for internal disputes. Agricultural colonies asked for advisory stations to protect against resource raiders. Mining corporations funded human observer positions near remote operations. The demand for human involvement grew beyond security into economic planning and infrastructure development. Humanity's reputation for fairness created unexpected diplomatic opportunities. The galaxy learned to rely on neighbors who maintained their commitments. Human advisors consistently followed through on promises and threats alike. Their predictability created patterns of trust that replaced traditional treaties and enforcement mechanisms. Civilizations began modeling their own diplomatic approaches on human consistency rather than legal complexity. Humanity's protection operated without demands for political control or cultural influence. Advisors respected local customs and legal systems while providing security support. They refused permanent administrative roles or governing authority. This approach differentiated them from previous galactic powers that had used protection as justification for expansion. This trust-based model proved more enduring than military victory or economic dominance. Systems under human influence showed higher long-term stability than those controlled through force or treaty. The approach created organic growth of cooperation rather than imposed order. This organic development resisted corruption and manipulation better than structured agreements. The network represented a fundamental shift in galactic governance philosophy. It demonstrated that security could emerge from reliability rather than power. The model spread through voluntary adoption rather than conquest or coercion. This bottom-up approach to galactic order would eventually influence council policies and interstellar relation standards. The Human Advisory Network became the foundation for a new era of cosmic cooperation, based on demonstrated trust rather than negotiated terms. A transmission arrived through quantum-entangled channels that didn't exist in council databases. The signal originated from a point 8 million light-years beyond the galactic rim. Its encryption matched human military protocols but with mathematical complexity exceeding current Earth technology. The message contained a simple request for diplomatic exchange with humanity, with no mention of the Galactic Council or local powers. The Far Spiral delegation arrived in ships that defied standard classification. Their vessels showed no visible propulsion systems or energy signatures. They materialized near Pluto's orbit without triggering any defense alerts. Their hull compositions displayed materials unknown to human science, with light-bending properties that made accurate visual observation impossible. They maintained position without course corrections or station-keeping maneuvers. Their approach demonstrated technological capabilities beyond local galactic standards. Communication occurred through direct neural interface rather than audio or visual channels. The exchange bypassed language barriers entirely, transmitting concepts and intentions without translation. This method prevented misinterpretation, but required new protocols for diplomatic interaction. The delegation specifically sought human partnership rather than general galactic relations. They referenced humanity's actions against the Devourer swarm and their protection network across local systems. Their knowledge of these events indicated observational capabilities spanning intergalactic distances. They showed no interest in other civilizations or political structures within the galaxy. This interest validated humanity's unique position in the cosmic community. The Far Spiral's technological superiority made their selective approach particularly significant. They could have engaged any local power but chose the newest spacefaring species. This suggested their assessment criteria differed fundamentally from traditional measures of advancement. The relationship began with mutual technological exchange rather than formal treaties. Both sides shared basic scientific principles without revealing core secrets. The Far Spiral demonstrated gravity manipulation techniques that built upon human innovations. Humanity provided data on adaptive threat response and improvisational combat tactics. This exchange occurred through controlled demonstrations rather than data transfers. Initial interactions maintained strict equality between parties. Neither side demanded concessions or special privileges. Negotiations focused on mutual benefits and shared security concerns. The Far Spiral treated humanity as peers despite their own advanced capabilities. This respectful approach built foundation for long-term cooperation. Humanity's influence now extended beyond original galactic boundaries. The relationship with the far spiral created connections to civilizations in neighboring galaxies. This intergalactic diplomacy represented a new frontier in human expansion. It demonstrated that their reputation for reliability and protection had universal appeal across cosmic distances. The far spiral's interest confirmed that humanity's approach to galactic relations had broader applications. Their trust-based model of security and cooperation resonated with civilizations facing different challenges. This validation from an advanced intergalactic power reinforced the effectiveness of human methods. This development forced reconsideration of humanity's cosmic role. They were no longer just a local power or galactic guardian. Their influence and reputation now spanned intergalactic space. The relationship with the far spiral marked the beginning of a new chapter in human history, one where their neighborhood encompassed multiple galaxies and unknown civilizations. Deep within the galactic core, structures older than recorded time began registering activity. These entities existed outside conventional space-time, their consciousness spanning multiple dimensions simultaneously. Their awakening occurred not as sudden emergence but as gradual awareness returning after millennia of dormancy. Sensors registered gravitational anomalies and quantum fluctuations across 17 sectors simultaneously. Their attention focused on the spiral arm containing human territory. The patterns of energy expenditure and spatial manipulation showed signatures unlike previous galactic cycles. The rapid development of human civilization and their unconventional approach to cosmic relations created unique vibration patterns across the fabric of reality. These disturbances attracted attention from beings that normally ignored local events. Humanity represented a fundamental shift in cosmic development patterns. Previous dominant species had followed predictable technological progression and expansion models. Humans developed through rapid adaptation and conceptual innovation rather than linear advancement. Their trust-based security model and improvisational warfare tactics created novel energy signatures that stood out against background cosmic patterns. These ancient entities possessed capabilities beyond current scientific understanding. Their technology manipulated fundamental constants rather than exploiting physical laws. They could alter gravitational constants, modify light speed limitations, and reshape space-time geometry. Their consciousness operated across multiple dimensions simultaneously, perceiving events in non-linear progression. Their awakening presented both threat and opportunity for humanity. Previous encounters with such beings in galactic history had resulted in either ascension or annihilation. The entities might view humanity as interesting specimens worthy of study or as disruptions requiring correction. Their intentions remained impossible to determine with available sensing technology. Humanity's actions had consequences on scales previously unimaginable. Their defeat of the Devourer swarm and establishment of the Trust Network created ripple effects across cosmic energy patterns. These disturbances reached dimensions where the ancient beings resided, stirring them from their long slumber. Human activity now influenced realms beyond their perceptual capabilities. The galaxy's current peace remained fragile under this new observation. The ancient beings could choose to intervene in local affairs or simply observe developments. Their mere presence altered probability matrices and future projection models. Strategic planners had to account for factors beyond traditional military or diplomatic considerations. These beings represented the next frontier in human evolution. Contact with such entities could accelerate technological development or completely reshape understanding of reality. Their capabilities suggested possibilities for advancement that current science considered theoretical or impossible. Human scientists began developing new detection methods to study these phenomena. Their interest validated humanity's unique development path. The fact that such advanced beings noticed human activities suggested significance beyond local importance. This external recognition confirmed that humanity's approach to cosmic relations had broader implications than previously understood. It elevated their status from regional power to cosmic participant. This development set the stage for future conflicts or collaborations beyond current comprehension. Humanity might eventually communicate with these beings or simply exist under their observation. The relationship could evolve into exchange of knowledge or confrontation between different existential paradigms. Human strategists began preparing for scenarios that defied all previous experience. The ancient beings continued their observation without further action. Their presence remained detectable only through indirect measurements and anomalous readings. Humanity maintained normal operations while increasing research into dimensional physics and consciousness studies. The galaxy continued its development under the silent watch of powers that predated star formation. This situation created new parameters for cosmic diplomacy and security planning. Human advisors expanded their monitoring to include dimensional anomalies and non-local phenomena. The Trust Network began incorporating data from non-conventional sensors into their threat assessment models. The neighborhood had grown larger than anyone anticipated, and humanity kept watch over all of it. Humanity's position in the cosmos shifted through decisive action, not rhetoric. From their first calculated reply to the Council's arrival, every choice reinforced a new paradigm. The galaxy learned that strength isn't about who holds the most power, but who keeps their word without exception. Earth's fiercest defenders became the sentinels others rely on, demonstrating that true guardianship requires both the capacity for overwhelming force and the restraint to use it only when necessary. In the stillness between stars, vigilance becomes the highest form of respect.